back to 5-Minute Fridays. I'm just about to start my 5-minute workout for today. There are timestamps in the description box down below the video. So if you would prefer to skip straight ahead to the workout, you can use the chapter markers to do that. If you would like to see the exercises demonstrated and explained before we begin, let's go ahead and get into that right now. This is a body weight workout. We are not lifting anything. You will not need any exercise equipment whatsoever to follow along. However, we are going to be doing push-ups. So if you do push-ups from your knees, you're going to be more comfortable with something soft beneath your knees. If you're working out on grass or on a carpeted floor, you might not need anything. But if you have an exercise mat or a yoga mat, I would say definitely go ahead and get that ready if you're going to be doing push-ups from your knees. If you don't have a mat, a towel should be fine. If you have fitness gloves, that's also recommended, but they are not necessary. The only other thing I'm going to be using is my interval timer. So if you have an interval timer, we are going to be setting our interval timers for 5 rounds of 1-minute intervals. So one interval of 1 minute times 5 rounds, that's gonna be our 5 minutes. If you don't have an interval timer, that's fine. There are plenty of free apps that you can download onto your phone. I can't recommend a specific app because I always just use my little Gym Boss timer. I've had it for years and years, but I know that there are tons of free interval timer apps. So go to the App Store, read some reviews, see what looks good, and download an interval timer app to your phone if you want to go and do the workout on your own. Of course, if you're working out along with the video, you can just use my timer. So we're really just doing 3 different exercises. We are going to be combining them, but I'm going to walk you through each of these 3 different exercises individually, and then I'll show you how to put them together. So we are starting with downward facing dog. So if you've ever taken a yoga class, you know how to do down dog. We're just gonna hold down dog for 1 minute. That's our first exercise, and that's the first minute out of our 5-minute workout. So I think the best way to get into your downward facing dog, if you don't know how, if you've never taken a yoga class, is to come down here and start in this box position so that my hands are right underneath my shoulders and my knees are right underneath my hips. Now take a second and just tilt your pelvis under and arch your back. Really push the ground away from you. This is not part of the downward facing dog, but if you've never done down dog before, I think this is the best way to really understand the movement. All right, so you're pushing the ground away from you, you're arching your back, and you're tilting your pelvis under as though you're trying to touch your forearms with your hips, okay? So now what I want you to do is tilt your pelvis the other way, so that now, instead of rounding your back, you're actually arching your back. So think of trying to touch the ceiling with your booty. You're still pressing the ground away from you, but instead of having your pelvis tilted underneath like this, it's tilted as far as you can get it in the opposite direction. So you should be feeling a really nice stretch in your abs, and imagine trying to touch the ceiling with your booty, okay? So keep this position, keep your pelvis in this position. Keep your booty going up to the sky, okay? You're trying to touch the sky with your booty. I want you to think about that the whole time that you're doing your downward facing dog, okay? Because that is the most important part of the movement. That and having a flat back, okay? So what you're gonna do with your pelvis in this position, trying to touch the sky with your booty, you're gonna make sure your toes are curled under like this, and you're going to lift your hips up, straightening your back. As you do this, you are pressing the ground away from you, okay? So from here, tuck the toes under, press the ground away as you lift your hips. Now see, my heels are up off the mat, and my knees are bent, and that's fine. The important part is that your back is flat and that you're tilting your pelvis up as though you're trying to touch the sky with your booty, getting that booty up as high as you can. And you should feel like you're trying to touch the tops of your thighs with your chest. So really push the ground away and push your chest back towards your legs. Okay, so let's come back down here again. So tilt the pelvis under, So you see what that feels like, rounding your back, and now reverse that. This is what you want. Feel that nice stretch in your abs. Press the ground away. Feel like you're trying to touch the sky with your booty. Curl the toes under. Now press the ground away as you lift your hips and push your chest back towards the tops of your thighs. Now from here, if you can straighten your legs, great, go for it. And if you are able to get your heels all the way down, great, go for it. You might not have enough flexibility in your calves and Achilles to do that. You might not have enough flexibility in your hamstrings to straighten your legs and or put your heels down. So if you can't do those things, that's fine, okay? Because what's gonna try to happen is if you prioritize straightening your legs and getting your heels down to the mat, but you are not quite there yet, you're going to end up rounding your back. So remember, your number one priority is a flat back. I can't get 2 sentences out without these planes. They're driving me insane. So again, from here, tilt the pelvis up, push the hips back. Now, see how my back is nice and flat. If you go to straighten your legs, but it causes you to round your back, or you go to put your heels down and it causes you to round your back, then again, don't worry about straightening your legs or putting your heels down. That's what you're working towards. But the important thing is that you are sending your hips straight up, sending your chest back as though you're trying to touch the tops of your thighs with your chest, and making sure that your back stays flat, okay? So really focus on keeping your pelvis tilted up in this position, and really think about pressing your hips up to the sky. And then from there, if you are able to straighten your legs and put your heels down, great, you can do that. But don't worry about that, all right? That's not the point of the movement. I am not a yoga instructor, so I hope I explained that sufficiently. If you have any questions, just let me know. And if you are a certified yoga instructor and you can help me out in the comments, by all means, if there's anything I missed, anything I got wrong, if you have any tips or tricks that might be useful for beginners or anyone to clean up their down dog and really get the most out of the movement, please feel free to leave a comment. But that's really the best way I can explain down dog, so hopefully it is clear. The next exercise is push-ups. I'm just going to be doing standard push-ups from my toes. So if you're able to do push-ups from your toes, that's what we're gonna do. If you do knee push-ups, that's great as well. It's the exact same exercise. The only difference is that when I'm doing a standard push-up, I want to have my body in one straight line from my heels to my shoulders. If I'm doing the push-up from my knees, then that straight line is going to be from my knees to my shoulders. But other than that, it is the exact same exercise. So all of the same principles apply. So to do your push-up, you want to first find your plank position. So come up into your plank position. Some of the common mistakes, if you're lacking upper body strength or you're lacking core strength, a lot of times you're going to find that you're sinking into your shoulders like this. You don't want to do that. So instead, what you want to do is actively press the ground away from you so that your shoulders are away from your ears. Another thing that's really common is that people allow their back to arch, meaning that they're allowing their hips or their belly to droop down towards the mat like this. We don't want that either. So the way to fix this is to really tighten up your abs and use your ab muscles to lift your hips high and keep them high. So imagine if someone was about to punch you in the stomach and you're bracing for that impact. That is how engaged your abs should be, okay? That's how tight your abs should be the entire time. So really use your ab muscles to lift those hips high and make sure they stay high. Now, if your hips are slightly elevated in your plank position like this, that's not terrible. Your back is flat when you're in that position, so you're not going to hurt yourself doing that. It's not the end of the world. And it will actually make the push-ups a little bit easier for you. So if you find that you need to have your hips elevated slightly, that's fine, just go with it. But eventually you want to build enough strength, enough upper body strength, and enough core strength that instead of having your hips up here, you're able to have them a little bit farther down. Remember, you don't want to let them drop. You want to keep them lifted high, but you want your body in one straight line from your heels to your shoulders, okay? So if your hips are slightly elevated, that's not the worst, but what you really don't want to do is allow them to drop, which causes your back to arch like this, okay? So tighten up those abs, lift the hips high, make sure you're pressing the ground away from you. And the final piece of your perfect plank is your head. A lot of people don't think about what their head is doing, but what you want is for your head to be just perfectly in line with your spine. All right, so keep your head still the whole time. Your neck's in a nice neutral position, and you want to make sure that you're not bobbing your head up and down. What most people tend to do is they will lower their forehead down to the ground. So for example, you're here in a nice plank position. A lot of people might let their head drop here. So lift your head. You don't want to overcorrect by hyperextending your neck and kind of jutting your chin out towards the wall in front of you. Just have your head in line with your spine. Your neck's in a nice neutral position. But what a lot of people tend to do is, especially if they're not able to get their chest all the way to the mat, they'll compensate for that by lowering their forehead down to the mat. So make sure that once you've got your head in this nice neutral position, you're not allowing it to move. Keep your head still so that you're not dropping your forehead down to the mat. All right, if you're not able to get your chest all the way down, that's fine. Just shorten up your range of motion. So you want to find your perfect plank position. And from here, you want nothing to move. You're bending your elbows and you're lowering your chest to the ground, or as low to the ground as you can. But watch how nothing else moves. Bending my elbows, lowering my chest to the ground. Now I'm going to press the ground away and push myself back up, return to my starting position, but notice that nothing else moved. Okay, so once you find that nice plank, stay still. Okay, but what's going to tend to happen is that if you do not yet have enough strength to lower your chest all the way down, you're going to be tempted to compensate for that by lowering your hips or your belly down to the mat, or by lowering your forehead down to the mat. Okay, so if you can only come down this far, don't compensate for that by lowering your hips or your belly down to the mat. All right, don't compensate by lowering your forehead down to the mat. Instead, you're just going to shorten up your range of motion. It's that simple. So keep everything on your body perfectly still. Bend your elbows and lower your chest as close to the mat as you can. So if you can only come down this far, that's fine. Then come down this far. As soon as you've gotten your chest as low to the mat as you can, you're going to push the ground away and push yourself back up, but you don't want to break that straight line from your heels to your shoulders. And if you're doing the push-ups from your knees, all of the same principles apply. So again, instead of having a straight line from your heels to your shoulders, you're going to place your knees down on the mat, and that straight line is going to be from your knees to your shoulders. So make sure that your hands are right underneath your shoulders. Make sure your abs are nice and tight, your core is engaged. Make sure your back is straight. So do not allow your hips or your belly to droop down like this, which causes your back to have an arch in it. Tighten up those abs, lift the hips high, keep them high. Make sure you're not sinking down into your shoulders. Instead, what you want to do is actively press the ground away from you so that your shoulders are away from your ears, and make sure your head is in a nice neutral position in line with your spine. And from here, all you're going to do is bend your elbows and lower your chest as low to the mat as you can. Nothing else moves. And then press the ground away from you to push yourself back up and return to your starting position. So again, if you're unable to get your chest all the way down to the mat, that's fine. Just shorten up your range of motion, okay? So if you can only get your chest down this far without breaking that line, that straight line from your knees to your shoulders, don't compensate by lowering your hips or your belly down. So my hips and my belly are touching the mat, but my chest is not. That's not what you want to do, okay? Don't compensate for the fact that you're not getting your chest all the way down by lowering your forehead to the ground. My forehead's touching the mat, my chest is nowhere near the mat. All right, so keep everything still. Keep your head still, keep your abs tight, keep your hips lifted high, and if you can only come down this far without breaking that nice straight line from your knees to your shoulders, then this is your push-up. You come down this far. As soon as you've lowered your chest as close to the mat as you can, you're gonna press the ground away and push yourself back up. Just don't break that straight line from your knees to your shoulders. The third exercise is a squat. We're going to be adding a couple of leg lifts. You can eliminate those if you want. The most important thing is that you're minding your form for your squat. So before you even think about squatting down, the first thing you need to visualize before you begin your squat is trying to tuck your shoulder blades into your back pockets. So if you really think of trying to do that, trying to tuck your shoulder blades into your back pockets, it's going to cause your shoulders to go back and down so that they are away from your ears. It's also causing my chest to stay lifted nice and high, which is what we want. So that's the posture you want to begin with. Shoulders back and down, chest lifted high. And you accomplish that by trying to tuck your shoulder blades into your back pockets. Next step is, of course, to engage your core. So make sure that your entire core is engaged. Again, you can visualize someone about to punch you in the stomach and imagine how you would brace for that impact. And that's the sensation you want. You want those abs nice and tight. Now from here, we're ready to squat, but I don't want you to think of your squat as going straight down. Because if I think of squatting straight down like this, what tends to happen is that my knees are out over my toes. This isn't the movement. You really could hurt your knees that way. So instead of thinking about squatting down, what I want you to think about is trying to touch the wall behind you with your booty. So my shoulders are back and down. My chest is lifted high. My abs are nice and tight. I'm ready for someone to punch me in the stomach as hard as they can. Now I'm going to push my booty back as though I'm trying to touch the wall behind me with my booty. And look at what happens now. See how now my weight is in my heels. I can actually pick up my toes because all of my weight is in my heels and my back is nice and flat. So from this position is where you want to sink down into your squat. Do your best to at least get your thighs parallel to the ground if you can. All right, and if you can sink lower, great. Don't sacrifice your form to get there. So the most important thing is that your back is flat and the weight is in your heels. So as long as you're maintaining those two points, then it doesn't matter how deep you sink into your squat. So if you can only come here, that's fine. Just come here. Work to your own level. But if you're able to sink lower, and if you're able to get your thighs parallel to the ground, that's great. And from there, we're just gonna add a little leg lift, if you can. All right, if you're a beginner, you might not be able to do the leg lift, that's fine, just eliminate it. If you're a beginner, just work on your squats, making sure that you're nailing that form on your squats. But if you're able to lift one leg to the side, that's all we're gonna do, okay? So keeping the leg more or less straight, it's fine if there's a slight bend in your knee, but you're just gonna lift the leg to the side. So it's not a kick. There's nothing wrong with doing a kick. You can do a kick if you want. I do kicks all the time, but today I'm not kicking, I'm just lifting the leg to the side, okay? So you do what works for you, but we're going to do 2 squats. So we're going to alternate sides with the leg lift. So shoulders back and down, chest lifted high, core is engaged, abs are nice and tight. I'm gonna push my booty back like I'm trying to touch this gate behind me with my booty. I'm gonna sink into my squat, keeping my back flat and the weight in my heels. And now I'm going to press my heels into the ground to stand. And as I stand, I'm going to shift my weight to one foot as I lift the other leg out to the side. Now I'm going to repeat that on the other side. So squat, shift the weight to the other leg, and lift the foot, okay? Squat, lift the leg, squat, and lift the leg. We're just gonna be doing 2 reps. So that's each of the 3 exercises we're doing kind of isolated and broken down, showing you your proper form. We are going to put them all together though into a little combo. So starting with our down dog, you're gonna come down into your downward facing dog. So lift those hips high, trying to touch the sky with your booty. Now you're going to come forward into your plank position and do a push-up. Now you're going to jump or step your feet in, stand, and do your 2 squats. So squat and lift the leg, and now repeat that on the other side. And that's it, that's our combo. So that's one set of the combo. Now from here, you're gonna put your hands back down, jump or step the feet back into your downward facing dog. Then you're gonna come back down into your plank position, do a push-up, jump or step the feet in, and now your 2 squats. Squat, lift the leg, squat, and lift the leg. Beginner modification, your combo will look like this. So depending on how flexible you are in the backs of your legs, you can have your knees bent and your heels off the ground in your downward facing dog. Then you're gonna come down to your push-up. So knees down, do your push-up. Then you're going to come back up onto the toes, jump or step the feet in, and stand. Now from here, if you are able to do your squats unassisted, you'll do your 2 squats. So squat and lift the leg, squat and lift the leg. If you need assistance, you might want to have a chair or something in front of you that you can hold onto for support while you sink into your squats. And if you need to eliminate the little leg lift, you can eliminate it. If you need your leg lift to be lower, it can be down here. That's fine, okay? Or you can eliminate it altogether. But that's one set. Then you're gonna come back down, put your hands back on the mat, press your hips up and back, trying to touch the tops of your thighs with your chest in your downward facing dog. Then knees come down, push up, back up to the toes, step or jump the feet back in, stand, hold on to your chair for support if you need it, squat, lift the leg if you can, squat, and lift the leg on the other side if you can. So I mentioned that we are on 1-minute intervals. So that's all of the exercises and that's how the combo fits together. But now here's how we're going to get there. So the format is 1 interval of 1 minute times 5 rounds. Okay, so that's our 5 minutes. With interval number 1, we're just going to hold our downward facing dog. So do your best. You're going to hold down dog for 1 minute. If you need to come out of it and rest, then you can come out of it for a few seconds, take a breath and rest. That's fine. But if you're able to hold your downward facing dog pose for 1 full minute, that's our first interval. It's also going to be our last interval. So with interval number 2, we're going to add in the push-up. So for our second 1 minute interval, you're going to be going back and forth. You're going to do your down dog into a push-up, and then right back into down dog. So you're gonna push up, raise the hips, and then come back down to your plank, push up, raise the hips, okay? Just back and forth, downward facing dog and push-ups for that whole interval. So that's our second minute. Our third 1 minute interval is where we're going to put the whole combo together. So that's gonna be downward facing dog, push-up, plus 2 squats with a side leg lift, alternating sides for the leg lift with each rep. So you're going to do that combo as many times as you can in that third 1 minute interval. With interval number 4, you're gonna start going backwards. So with intervals 2 and 3, we added on an element. Now with intervals 4 and 5, we're going to be deducting an element with each of those 2 intervals. So we're just gonna go backwards. So our 4th interval is going to look exactly the same as our 2nd interval. We're going to remove the final element that we added on, which is our squats, and we're gonna go back to just doing downward facing dog and push-ups for 1 minute. I know it's gonna be tough, so just do your best. Again, the goal is to not rest at all. There's no rest interval for this entire workout, but it's only 5 minutes long. So the goal is to not rest at all. But I don't want you to kill yourself, okay? You need to work to your own level. It's never a good idea to push your body into doing something that it's not ready to do. So obviously, if you need to rest, you will take a few seconds and rest, take a couple of breaths, and as soon as you're ready to get back into it, you get back into it. But the goal is to be moving continuously. So for that 4th interval, ideally, we're just gonna be doing downward facing dog, push up, down dog, push up, as many times as you can for 1 minute. It's a long work interval and it's going to be tough, so just do your best. And then for our 5th and final interval, we're going to end just the way we started with 1 minute of downward facing dog, okay? So you're starting with your down dog, interval number 2, you're adding an element, That's the push-up. Interval number 3, you're adding the squats, and then for intervals 4 and 5, you're gonna take away. So interval 4, you're removing the squat, and then for interval 5, you're removing the push-up, and you're ending just with down dog. So remember that I always take the time to type out the instructions in the description box down below the video, and you're gonna watch me do it right now. We're doing this workout together, so watch me do it. Read the instructions, but then of course, as always, if there are any questions about the format and how it all fits together, if you have any questions about the exercises that we're doing today, if you have any doubts about how to do these exercises with the correct form, please just ask. It's very important that you understand how to do the exercises correctly before you begin the workout, so that you reduce your risk of injury and so that you make sure you're getting the maximum benefit out of the exercises. This workout is only 5 minutes long, so we want to keep it intense. We want to get as many reps done as we can with proper form, okay? You have to prioritize your proper form above all else, because that's how you're going to get the maximum benefit out of each exercise. And also, yes, importantly, you'll reduce your risk of injury. So mind your form, and if you have any questions, please just ask. You guys know it is also incredibly important to me that all of my workouts are always accessible to anyone and everyone who wants to do them with me. I am always here to help facilitate that. So if you need any further help with beginner modifications, I am right here. So don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions or if you need help. I am always happy to help in any way I can. All right, so I have done my best to explain and demonstrate all of the exercises and to explain the format so that you understand how everything fits together. If you are ready to do this 5-minute workout with me, go ahead and grab an exercise mat or a yoga mat if you have one. If not, a towel should be fine. And again, if you're working out on a carpeted floor or on grass, you might not need anything, and if you're not doing knee push-ups, you probably won't need anything. I am not doing knee push-ups, and so I am not going to need a mat. But if you need a mat, go ahead and grab one, and if you don't have a mat, grab a towel. If you need one, take a minute to make sure you are good and warmed up, and when you're ready, let's get started. All right, beginners, you're up first, so get ready to find that downward facing dog position. So start out here in your tabletop position, and make sure that your pelvis is tilted so that your booty is headed up toward the sky. You're gonna lift that booty up as high as you can as you press the ground away and try to touch the tops of your thighs with your chest, okay? There's no rest interval, so as soon as the timer starts, you're gonna lift those hips, press the mat away, and find that downward facing dog position, and you're gonna do your best to hold your down dog for 1 minute if you can. All right, so when you're ready, here we go. Starting my timer in 3, 2, 1, and go. So curl the toes under, push the mat away from you, lift those hips high, keep your knees bent, and keep your heels up off the mat if you're a beginner, and or if you lack flexibility in the back of your legs. If you're able to straighten your legs, and you're able to get your heels down without rounding your back, then you can do that. But if you're a beginner, I think I would rather have you just focus on lifting your hips up high, trying to touch the tops of your thighs with your chest, and making sure that you maintain a flat back, okay? That's the most important thing. So straightening your legs is nice, getting your heels down is nice, but it's secondary. So if you're a beginner, just focus on keeping your back flat, press the ground away, and lift those hips as high as you can. So now come down to the knees, and we're gonna do a push-up. Back up into your downward facing dog, and another push-up. So come down to the knees, bend the elbows, get your chest down as low to the ground as you can without breaking that straight line from your knees to your shoulders, okay? So we're just gonna go back and forth, downward facing dog, push those hips up and back. Now bring the hips down, put the knees down, do your push-up, back up into your downward facing dog. We only have 15 seconds left. Let's try to do one more. Down dog, and one final push-up. Now with the next interval, we're gonna add our squats. So now downward facing dog, push up. Now come up onto the toes, step the feet in. You're gonna squat, and then if you can, lift that leg to the side 2 times, and now back down. We're gonna repeat that. So back into your downward facing dog, knees down, push up to the toes, step the feet in, stand, squat, lift the leg if you can, and repeat on the other side. Let's try to do one more. So push the hips up and back into your downward facing dog, knees come down, push up into your plank, step it in, stand, squat, lift the leg if you can, one more. Now we're gonna remove that squat, and we're just gonna do what we did in the previous interval. So we're gonna go back to our downward facing dog, then we're gonna bring the knees down, do a push up, and repeat back and forth. Downward facing dog, and push up. I know it's a lot of push-ups, so if you need to pause and take a rest, you can challenge yourself to rest in downward facing dog if you can. If not, you can rest in child's pose. That's fine. The goal is to push yourself to not rest at all. There's no designated rest interval for this entire workout because it's only 5 minutes long, but you need to work to your own level. So if you need a break, you should definitely pause for a few seconds and take a break. All right, we've reached our final work interval. So for this work interval, you're just gonna push those hips up and back, keep the knees bent, keep the heels lifted off the mat, and we're just gonna hold our downward facing dog. All right, so do your best. If you are able to stay up here in down dog with me for the whole minute, great. If you need to come out and rest, come out and rest. Take as long of a rest break as you need. Just challenge yourself to keep your rest breaks as short as you can. We're almost done. So focus on that breath. Nice deep breath in. Sending energy, sending oxygen to your hamstrings, your core, your shoulders. And that's it. That's our 5 minutes. Great job. That was a really tough 5-minute workout, so congratulations if you were able to hang in there with me for the whole 5 minutes. We are not quite finished yet. No workout of mine is ever complete, even if it's only 5 minutes long, until we have done our bonus burpee. And even if you're a beginner, that does not excuse you from doing your bonus burpee. The bonus burpee is mandatory. So let's do a beginner bonus burpee together. You're gonna start standing towards the front of your mat. Bend down and place your hands down on the mat. Now jump or step your feet back so that you're in a plank position. Put the knees down on the mat and do a push up. Now come back up onto your toes, up into your high plank position. Step the feet in and stand. Now if you can, do a little jump. If not, you can just come up onto your toes or you can just stand. With that, the workout is now officially complete. If you did this little 5-minute workout with me today, thank you so much. Please let me know what you thought of it and how you did. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you all next time. If you would like to stick around and try to challenge yourself to try the more advanced version of the workout, you are welcome to do that. That is up next. Just please remember to go at your own pace and do not sacrifice your form for speed. You need to be working to your own level. So if you want to try out the more advanced modifications, great. Just make sure you're not pushing your body into doing something it's not ready to do. Please be smart, listen to your body, and make the decision that's best for you. All right, if you are ready to try the more advanced version of this workout, you guys, it's gonna be super tough. I know it's only 5 minutes long, but this is gonna be a really tough one. So do your best. Remember, there's no rest interval, so as soon as I start my timer, you're going to immediately get into your downward facing dog pose and you're going to hold that for 1 minute, okay? So do your best, starting my watch, and I am starting my timer in 3, 2, 1, and go. So, downward facing dog. So make sure you are sending those hips up high, trying to touch the sky with your booty. Make sure your back is nice and flat. If you are able to straighten your legs, great. If you're able to get your heels down on the ground, that's great, but that's not your number one priority. So if you are only able to straighten your legs and or get your heels down by rounding your back, then bend your knees or try lifting your heels up off the mat so that you can maintain that nice flat back. And just breathe. After this interval, we're going to add a push-up. So you're just going to come down into your plank position, do a push-up, and now lift the hips back into your downward facing dog. For 1 minute, we're just gonna go back and forth, okay? So push-up, lift the hips, down dog. Come back down to your plank, push-up, downward facing dog. If you need to rest, challenge yourself to either rest in plank position or in your downward facing dog position, if you can. If you need to come down to child's pose, that's fine, you can do that. And if you need to start dropping to your knees for the push-ups, that's also fine. All right, so with this next work interval, we're gonna add an element. So downward facing dog, push up. Now jump the feet in, stand. We're gonna squat and lift the leg. Repeat that on the other side. Downward facing dog, push up. Jump or step the feet in, squat, lift the leg, squat, lift the leg. Again, down dog, push up, squat, leg left, repeat on the other side. Down dog, push up, jump it in, squat, lift the leg, squat and lift the leg. Now with this next work interval, we're removing the squats. So we're gonna go back to what we were doing with the previous work interval. Down dog, push up, lift the hips, down dog, and push up. Back and forth until our 1 minute interval is up. Do your best. And remember, if you need to rest, you can rest. If you're able to rest in your down dog position or in a plank position, that's great. If not, you can come down to child's pose. All right, final work interval. We're ending the same way we began. So this is our final 1 minute work interval. We're just gonna hold our downward facing dog for 1 minute. So press the ground away from you. Try to press your chest all the way back.
Try to touch the tops of your thighs with your chest. Keep that back flat and just focus on lifting those hips up high. Trying to touch the sky with your booty. And just breathe. We're almost there.
That's our 5 minutes. We made it. All right, really good job. That was a tough 5 minutes. Shake it out. Shake out the wrists. Shake out the legs. I'm feeling this in my wrists for sure. My shoulders, holy cannoli, but also my legs. And of course my core. This really was a full body workout. This was a tough 5 minutes. So really good job if you hung in there with me for the entire 5 minutes. We are not quite finished yet. No workout of mine is ever complete, even if it's only 5 minutes long, until we have done our bonus burpee. So we have just 1 rep left to go. But first, it is time for the McFlurry Minute. I am going to reset my timer to count down 60 seconds for me. I'm going to jump rope for 60 seconds, and if I can make it through the entire 60-second work interval without tripping over my jump rope, everybody wins a free McFlurry. So give me just a minute to reset my timer and grab my jump rope, and I will be right back. All right, my timer has been reset. Rudbecca is up again today. Rudbecca is my adorable black jump rope with the little white skulls on the handles. And for those of you who have asked me where I get my jump ropes, I will leave a link and a coupon code in the description box down below the video. So click on the link and use coupon code Rudbecca to save an additional 10% on your jump rope. We have a streak going of 4 successful McFlurry minutes in a row. We're trying to make it 5 in a row today. And as you may or may not know, we are in the midst of a horrendously brutal heat wave here in Southern California. So I really want to keep the streak alive so that we can all get some free ice cream for lunch today, because it is hot AF out here, and I would really like some ice cream, and I would really like to not have to pay for it. So wish me luck. We're going for 5 in a row, starting as always with a 10-second rest interval, and hopefully in just about 60 seconds from now we can all meet at McDonald's and enjoy some free ice cream for lunch. Here we go. Successful McFlurry minutes in a row. Amazing. Rudbecca came through for us yet again. Now let's wrap this thing up because I am dying in this heat and I want to eat ice cream for lunch. So we have just 1 rep left to go. Let's go ahead and do our bonus burpee together, and then the workout will be officially complete. All right, final rep of the day. When you're ready, here we go. The workout is now officially complete. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did this little 5-minute workout with me today, thank you so much. Please let me know what you thought of it and how you did. Thank you to everyone who has been working out with me lately, and even if you're not doing the workouts with me, thank you for watching the videos. Thank you for liking and sharing the videos. Thank you for all of your wonderful and supportive and engaging comments. It really does mean the world to me. Thank you to all of my new subscribers. If you are not subscribed already, please subscribe. And of course, A great big thank you to those of you who have been subscribed to my channel for years. Please know that I appreciate you all so very much. One final reminder that if anything is unclear with the format and how all of these exercises fit together, if you have any questions about the exercises themselves, if you have any doubts about how to do the exercises with the correct form, or if you need any further help with beginner modifications, I am right here, so please just ask. If you like these 5-minute workouts and you would like to see more of them, please remember that I have an entire playlist of 5-minute workouts on my channel. I will link it right there. And we will be continuing to do these 5-minute Fridays for the foreseeable future. So that means I will be continuing to bring you at least one new 5-minute workout a week, every week for the foreseeable future. That is going to do it for today. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone, and I will see you all next time. Bye.